right, what's up, man? We are here at the EXP Shareholder Summit, and I got my guy Knolly Williams, man. So
I got the legend right here, Ricky Carruth. Boy, what's up? Always good to see you, man.
So is it the cowboy real estate agent? I forgot your tagline with this hat.
Well, my tagline is the business healer. I don't know if you've seen that one. That's my tagline.
I've seen that one, yeah, but what about the hat part?
Well, the hat part is a long story. I don't know if we want to bore them with it, but the hat, I've been rocking this hat since I was 26.
I know you've been rocking the hat
since I was 26.
I thought there was some tagline with the hat, like cowboy this or
consider it so.
That.
No,
yeah.
I don't do cowboy.
I saw some somewhere.
I probably did something with it at some time, but I don't. Yeah. No,
anyway, so you are a real estate coach in the industry, big name. I saw you for the first time. I saw you online, of course, a long time before I saw you in person. But you came to my market,
Orange Beach,
yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm going to that. So I went there. It was really cool. I picked up a joke from you. You know, you're like, how many people are new agents in the room? And then and you're like, don't tell nobody you're a new agent.
Why would you ever say that? Yeah, put your hand down. Yeah.
So, no, man, before we started this, we're talking about personalities.
Yeah.
And how probably different our styles are. I want to dig into that for just a second, you know, before we maybe get into some other stuff. But I'm more than likely a high D.
Yeah.
And you are...
that's without saying. I'm an ISC on the disc profile.
Okay.
Yeah, ISC.
And then you know more about the disc and all this stuff. How does that differentiate us?
Yeah.
Right. And then what questions do you have for me concerning that to try to help the viewers kind of understand? Because we've got people with all kinds of different personalities,
Absolutely.
right? And everybody can win.
Yeah.
If you can kind of understand the backdrop of how you can win, right? It's all kind of customized around people. So what do you think the differences are? Because you mentioned this before we started. What do you think the differences are between you and I in terms of our style?
So a high D, when a high D goes at it, a D is a driver, okay? So Ds are like the President of the United States. They're CEOs, they run companies. And so a D can go into a listing presentation without really a lot of the facts, the information, the data and all that.
Yeah.
And they can absolutely get the seller, they can gain their confidence very quickly.
Yeah.
And they can get them to sign.
Right.
So if the seller says, well, hey, how about this? And you know what, we'll figure that out. It's no problem.
Right,
what we need to do right now, and they're good at driving the conversation. And SC has to understand everything, all the analytics, the data, the information.
Yeah.
They have to know all that going in so that they don't get anything wrong. Right, so it actually takes an SC a lot longer to get to the finish line. But the truth of the matter is, you should always know who you are.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. This is what I teach. Now, you don't have to take the profiles to know this. Like, you automatically know what you feel comfortable doing, right? You're like, hey, I'm going to do, like, you do a lot of cold calls. Okay, I've never done cold calling. Okay, it's just outside of my and it's not that you don't love. I mean, I don't know. Do you love cold calling?
Yeah.
You do? Okay, well, so you see what I'm saying?
For me, it's a perspective thing, right? When it comes to cold calling. Okay. For me, okay, if I buy a Zillow lead, or if I do a video hoping I get a lead, or wherever I get my leads from, it's the same people that I'm cold calling.
Yeah.
And I call them saying the same thing as I would. So it's almost like if you trick your mind into feeling like this outbound lead is an inbound lead, if you need to give yourself confidence to have the same it's the same people, and you're having the same conversation. So for me, it's like, what's the difference? There's no such thing as cold, hot, warm, inbound, outbound. It's all people in the market. I'm just trying to have as many conversations as I can have. So it's a little different for me because I have a totally different perspective on it, where it's not hot or cold. It's people in the market I need to get to see what I can do to help them buy and sell.
Absolutely, absolutely. However, being a D, you're going to be able to do some things that I'm not, you know, that are outside my comfort zone.
Right.
And there's some things that I'm going to do that you'd be like, man, I'm not going to do that. Right. You know, analytics, data, whatever it might be. Right. And depending, I don't know what your disc is, but if I knew exactly what it was, I could read you exactly. Like, hey, here's what you'd be more. Now, we have to, as entrepreneurs and business leaders, we have to step outside our comfort zone and do whatever it takes. You know, and so that's the whole. You know. Milet, you saw him yesterday, Ed?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, myself included, I was, you know, a lot of us could relate to what he was saying, right?
Yeah.
We could really relate.
Yeah.
Here's a guy, his whole theme, Ricky, was, I'm no different than you.
Yeah.
I was a doofus.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was raised in a family like this. It was bad growing up. I mean, he went through the whole thing to where you really could relate. The difference is he has 800 million. He's worth 800 million.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Okay,
right.
That's the big difference. And at the end of that, he said, there's only two things that I do well. Did you catch that? I don't know if he said there's only two things that I do well. And what that got me to understand is that Ed realizes his superpower, and so do you, so do I. See, when you understand your superpower, you show up on game day like you did the other day. You did cold calls and you crushed it on stage, boy. And you make it look so easy because that is your superpower.
Right.
But for some people, that might be kryptonite. And so what Ed does brilliantly, he said his one superpower is he loves people, okay, and he knows how to read people. And that's basically what he's used those skills. And you listening, whatever skills you have, you want to basically know what they are and use them to your greatest advantage. So that's the only thing around the personality thing.
Yeah.
There's some things that Ed can do in his personality that I may not be a people reader or have his skill set. So I might do it a different way, but I can still get the same result.
Yeah, it's like if you spend a lot of time doing analytics before you go to a listing appointment, I'm thinking, I'm not going to waste my time doing that.
Absolutely.
It's going to take me 30 minutes that I could spend calling more clients or doing this or that. And I feel like it's not a good ROI on my time versus you think it's, in your world, it's the best ROI on your time because you're fully prepared for the listing appointment where I'm going to go in and wing it and look good doing it
anyway.
Right.
Exactly.
It's interesting because...
And that's a style thing.
It's interesting to think about it. All the different coaches have their different strategies that they teach.
Different nuances and styles.
Right. And in your program, do you have them do the DISC test before you start trying to advise them on what to do in their business?
So yes, I do want them. So for me, I wrote a new book. It's called 3 Hours a Day, and it's coming out on McGraw-Hill. And the premise of the book is 7 steps to how to live the lifestyle that I live. And the first step is to understand your superpower, know who you are, how you're wired. It's not just the DISC test. You can take the DISC test, the passion test. There's a lot of different ones.
So you developed the new test, basically?
No, it's not a new test.
Okay.
It's basically, the tests
what
that are out there.
What is this test called?
The best test that I like is the Genius test.
Right. But the book has like...
No, the book just tells you, hey, you have to understand who you are first.
I got you.
And then in the book, I have a curriculum called Discovering Your Destiny. I call it Discovering Your Divine Destiny. And it's basically a workbook that takes you through all the questions to figure out how you're wired, who are you. And so the original book is like 92 questions. I think we scaled it down to like 50. But when you go through the book, you figure out, okay, this is who I am. And then what I teach is that you build your business using standard operating procedures, like the right processes, the right models. But you build your business around who you are. First you have to understand who you are. Because when you understand who you are, your why becomes very apparent. A lot of people say, oh, this is my big why, my grandkids or whatever it might be. But what I've come to understand through research, there's a lot of research in the book, studies and things like that. But the reality is once we know who we are, our why is very self-evident. For example, if I say, why does a rose bloom? Because it's a rose. It knows it's a rose, and that's what roses do. They bloom. So if you don't know who you are, you can't really become who you were meant to be. Of course.
So here we go. This is a prime example, okay? They need to find out who they are
first.
Okay? Now we're telling them what to do. Right?
Tactics.
Can we tell them how to do it?
Yes,
how do you
absolutely.
find out who
the how-to
someone
is? Super critical. That's on. So I always test out as an engineer on the DISC profile, and most of them, and so that's the SC side of that's the how. How do I do this? You know what I'm saying? The step by step.
So when you do the DISC, that's
the DISC basically the DISC basically helps you understand who you are. If you're a high D. So here's the fundamental.
What I'm trying to do is lay the infrastructure here,
right?
Where anybody watching this, we've established what they need to do. They need to find out who they are.
Right.
What can we tell them right now as far as how to do that.
How can I find out who I am?
How does someone find out who they are?
So you have to take the assessment test, okay? And I've got them free on my website. There's a lot of, so you want to take the passion test, you want to take the DISC test, you want to take the genius test is my favorite. There's a few others, but those three is all you really need.
Okay.
And even if you wanted to not take a test at all, if you look at something and you say, you know, on a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable are you with this? It doesn't mean that you can't gain skills, but like naturally,
who are you right now?
Yeah, and then you gauge different things. So I have a book where I have how-tos. It's 27 strategies for free seller leads, how to generate leads, and it's how-tos on every one.
Yeah.
But what I teach my people is you only have to implement 3 or 4 of those.
Yeah.
Because in truth, some of them you'll be like, no, I can't see myself doing that. It's outside your zone of genius.
Right.
So just focus on the handful of tactics that you want to focus on, and you can easily do 100, 120, 130 deals. I mean, I say easily. A lot of people don't even have those kind of goals.
Well, you think about 100 deals, and a lot of people say, you sold 100 deals for whatever, 19 years in a row, Ricky, oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, it's 2 deals a week.
Yeah, that's what I did, 100 deals.
It's 2 deals a week.
A year for 10 years.
It's not a lot.
It doesn't take a lot of time.
2 deals a week. If you can't handle 2 deals a week, then there's some deeper issues happening on your systems on the back end.
Absolutely.
2 deals a week is not a lot of deals. That means you probably have 10 plus pending at any given time.
Yeah.
You're either spending too much time on things that don't matter.
That's exactly right.
Or right, or you're putting out fires every time. You know, the top producers I've found are really good at ignoring things that don't matter, pushing them off till later.
That's right.
But they know what matters too when things pop up.
They know what's going to move the needle.
Yeah, like if something pops up unexpectedly and distracts me, they're really quick at being able to assess. I need to take care of this right now because this is critical. Or this is something that most people think is critical, but it's not critical, and I can wait till I'm done doing this task to take care of that.
Yeah. What you're talking about is separating the urgent from the important.
Right.
Most entrepreneurs spend all their time focusing on what's urgent. Okay, putting out fires. I got to do that. But they're not focused on the important things, which is really only a couple of things, man.
Exactly.
On a listing appointment, on a listing, and when we talk about so many deals a week, we're really talking appointments, right? Because that's where it all starts. So if you can go on 2 to 3 appointments a week, you can hit the numbers that Ricky's done, that I've done. My last year in production, I did 153 deals as a solo agent, but I had a really good administrative team. I had 1 licensed admin and 3 unlicensed. And they did 91.3% of all the activities on a transaction. It's very important to know what you should and shouldn't be doing.
My assistant I've had for 10 years, she does 94.5%.
There you go.
The entire
of everything, right? And a lot of people they miss that.
Yeah, like all I do is talk to the seller. Okay, you want to list it? Okay, great. Send the information to her. I don't hear nothing about it until there's an offer made.
Right.
She sends contract, gets it back, orders pictures, does MLS, sets up all the showings for the property.
Right.
I don't hear anything until I've got an offer to present to the seller. Then I step back in.
That's right. So what I teach, I created, and it's the same. We use similar systems, but I created a 46-step system for the listing game. Step 1, generate the lead. Step 40 is to close the transaction, and then there's 6 steps after that. Well, the reality, Ricky, is a lot of listing specialists like us, they don't even realize that there's only 2 things that really move the needle in their business on those 46 steps. It's number 1, generate the lead. Okay. That's the and number 2, go on the appointment. Go on the appointment. Really, you don't have to do anything else, except if you want to negotiate the offer, you could do that. I had an agent on my team that did that. And but if you wanted to do 3 things, outside of that, there's really nothing else that you should have to do on that listing.
And that sounds crazy from a new agent perspective,
it does,
right? Because they're they don't even understand the process, right? So it's like if you're a new agent, it's like, go ahead and do about 100 deals on your own.
Right.
Understand the full process, and then understand things you can delegate and things that actually matter, that move the needle, like you say.
So what I teach them is, go ahead and do your first 3 to 5 on your own. This is kind of my model. And I might have to rethink that. For the high Ds, they might have to stumble across more of it, to do more, like you say, 100. But I don't really think they have to do that many to realize that their zone of genius is if they can focus on these three things, they can do so much more volume within the amount of time they have every day.
Well, but then it opens up Pandora's box to how do you hire an assistant?
Yeah, that's
right.
That's
how do you find somebody that can take care? How do you find somebody to take care of the 45 other things, or whatever the number was, that have to be taken care of to make the process go smooth, or your business runs smooth? I think
at the beginning, just to answer that question, you know, keeping it, because we like to keep it pragmatic and practical too. And a lot of times we like to think like high level, and people are like, well, just give me the tactics. I just want to know what to do. So talking about what to do, how you start with leverage. Leverage is people, systems, and tools. How you start with leverage is you do a pay per transaction. And if you're charging a transaction, I don't know if you charge a transaction fee.
No.
I've done a transaction fee since my and this might be a different philosophy in philosophy. And Ricky and I are cool like that. We've done so many of these together, and we're like, oh, you don't do that? Oh, you do that? You know? So I've charged $595 from my first listing to my 1,300th listing, and I've probably not charged it 5 times. Okay. So what that does is it gives me my contract to close person that's $300, $350. Okay. And it pays for the photography of the listing. And with those two things, okay, now my listing looks good. I don't have to do anything after contract. And then, oh, wait a minute, I can get listing to close? Oh, I like that too. And that's just maybe $400 per deal, whatever. And so I tell people, at first, just do it that way. Now, once you get to volume, you've got to learn how to hire. Most real estate agents suck at hiring. Because they hire the wrong person, it's the wrong profile. You know, you have to hire the opposite of you, not somebody exactly like you. The only time you hire somebody exactly like you is when you want to exit the business. So it's just, once you learn those things, they're not hard to learn, and that's the reason why I took the time to write my new book. To kind of break it down in layman's terms.
I think people are lazy.
I know they are.
And I think that people try to hire too early.
I agree.
To try to get out of the work.
Sure.
And I think that's a big problem. And I think that people also try to get out of, like, say, making calls. See, your model is, how do you get leads, right? You don't make calls, so what's your lead gen?
Well,
what's your favorite lead gen?
I do make, so I teach the 3 lead buckets. Number 1, sphere of influence. Number 2, have a rockin' farm. And you actually you become mayor of that area. And then number 3, you have a niche. You know, you niche to get rich. Or you might have multiple niches. So with those 3 lead buckets.
Example of a niche.
A niche could be, well, right now there's 8 hot niches. I just did a video for our EXP University channel that's it's ranking higher than yours because you took 4 months longer to do yours. So yours is kind of, it's all about the 8 lead sources right now. So number 1, so I'm going to give you a couple of them.
What video did I do that was compared to this?
On EXP University. You just do so many of these, you don't even know. Uncle Knolly keeps track of that.
Got you.
Because mine is ranked number 1 right now, but Ricky's is coming up.
Within EXP University, though?
Within EXP University.
Okay,
I
just look at YouTube and Instagram.
YouTube, you slapping me around like that on YouTube. I remember when we first met, this is a side note, when we first met, I don't even think you had a YouTube channel.
I had one, but it was really small.
Yeah, and you had like 80 people you were coaching, something like that.
I remember
now
that.
You have like 60, 70,000.
I remember that. Where was I? I was in a different country when I talked to you.
Yeah, we talked, and you were like, "Man, I want to do what you do." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I want to be on stage. I want to."
Yeah.
Oh, you want to do that? And I showed you my game, my playbook, whatever I do, and you surpassed me like that. And that's what we want, right? We want our students. You just crushed me. You just slapped me around like a rag doll. But that's because of the high D. See, anyway, what were we talking about? We were talking about, keep us on track.
Listings.
The three lead buckets.
Yeah.
So
a niche.
So niche.
What is a niche?
Okay, so niche? Probate. That's a great niche to get a ton of divorce.
So these are all, so what's your strategy since you don't do cold calls? Right? Are you telling them to call
now,
cold?
Listen to this. I did expires when I was coming right out the gate.
And calling them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you did do cold calls?
Well, I did old expired. So a lot of people don't realize with the expired bucket, okay, so 28% will relist their home within 30 days, okay? But then there's another 60%, okay? So there's another 30% that actually will never relist, like within years.
Right.
So I work that. So you see, you work in the front end.
No.
Oh, you work them all.
Dude, I teach go back 10 years worth.
Okay, see, old expired. That's what's up.
Our sweet spot right now, like I've got agents on my team that have 40 active listings right now, and their sweet spot is 1 to 2 year old expired.
Okay, so the old expired.
Now I like hitting the new ones, but also the old ones, because a lot of markets have like 2 or 3 a day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who cares? You can go back 10 years worth.
Yeah.
Right.
What system are you using? Like
RedX.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So you already know that. That's to me, that's another niche. Because expires is a niche.
Where I was going with this is you started out saying you don't cold call. But now you're telling me basically you do that.
I basically did expireds, but I did letters and postcards.
Yeah. But so you didn't call them. You just sent them letters and they didn't call you.
Now, one of the things that I started doing, which you can't do this anymore, in the early days you could, is I would have my not my VA, but my assistant make the calls. Then I got a licensed assistant, and she did all that.
Okay.
So I didn't personally make the calls. They were called, but I got a high D like you that didn't have the confidence
Very few people can make that work.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, very few people can have somebody else come in and make
100%.
calls on their behalf.
I 100% agree with that.
It's so rare.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
But what I did was I was so good with my postcards and letters. You'll never believe this, bro, but I have another guy, Stuart Sutton, that has a similar campaign. But I would send him a postcard, a letter, then 90 days postcard, another letter, and I had so many listings, man. People would call me.
Did you do like cowboy hat, like some kind of crazy
whole thing, my whole career, I've never marketed for a buyer. Okay, I don't know how you.
Oh, me either.
I've never marketed for a buyer.
Why would I?
So all of my marketing has been seller centric. It's like, how much could your home be worth in today's hot market?
Right.
Have you been thinking about putting your house back on the market? It was all that kind of messaging,
Was it any unique, funny headlines, or all just pretty much?
I didn't do the funny. I should have.
Yeah. So you would have got away with that.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Why haven't you called the crazy cowboy? Something like that.
Something. I know people that do that, and they do pretty well.
I work a lot of humor.
A lot of people are scared to do that.
They're scared. Yeah, they're afraid because they want to be taken seriously, but you have to let your personality shine. I've learned that later. Yeah, that's what you're good at, man. You just get up and you let your personality shine. You don't try to be, you don't try to project, you don't try to act.
It's one reason I went free in my coaching, so that I could feel free to say anything I wanted to say. Yeah. Where I'm not trying to hold back for this or that or this, whatever. I want to be able to speak my truth at any moment.
Absolutely.
At any moment that I want to. I don't want to feel like people think I'm have an agenda over here, or that people are paying me over here for this information. I can't say this.
Yeah.
No.
I got to say, you're the first person that I ever met that was offering free coaching. I'd never seen that model before.
I was the first free coach in the world.
Yeah.
Man, we could talk about so many things.
And what you were talking about was you wanted to reduce the failure rate in the industry.
That's still the mission.
So I love what you're doing.
We're successful with that. We have data behind
Absolutely. I know you do. Zero to diamond, baby. But I love what you're doing. You're still doing zero to diamond, right? It's
all day.
So, you're interviewing me. We're both podcast hosts, so sometimes I get the roles reversed. But I really love Ricky. I've said this before. I think we had one podcast that was so awkward because all I was doing was telling you how great you were. Because it's very rare to find someone that likes people enough to help and sow into them without any ulterior motive.
Right.
And I'll just throw this in because we're talking about it. When the one thing I liked most about EXP was the fact that, to me, I look at EXP as my sponsor. You know what I'm saying? Now, if folks that listen to you and me never join EXP, that's okay. We're okay with that.
Doesn't matter.
But we have this other stream of revenue that makes it even feel more great of sharing knowledge for free. Because it's phenomenal.
Before we go, the whole Ricky Carruth plan from day one was create a platform where agents can do business with me in some form or fashion. If they want to join my brokerage, great. If not, I've got mortgage. If not, I've got coaching. If not, they can invest with me.
Right.
They can invest in multifamily commercial deals. So I have all these platforms laid out where I can say, hey, how do you want to do business with me?
Absolutely.
That was the whole thing.
Wow.
From day one. And now it's complete. I have these platforms in place and I'm building them. So
it's amazing.
Yeah. And the coaching will always be free.
Same here. You're an inspiration, brother.
Thank you,
man.
Be good.
You too. We're out.